All right, so I've watched roughly over 100 hours of YouTube advice, and low key, I just want to condense it down all into one video, not only for you guys, but also for myself, so I can just look back on this and easily remember some tips and tricks and what's most important for growing on YouTube. So, to begin, the three most important things are one, your idea. Two, your click through rate, and three, your retention. So, getting into your idea or your niche, really, your niche can be anything. I am pretty confident that if you are passionate about something and you are well educated and willing to put the work in on YouTube, I think you can blow up in any niche, whether it's super obscure or super saturated. I believe in you and I think you can do anything. So, your idea in general, though, it should be something somebody, most likely yourself, would actually watch. Don't make a video that's like super obscure to the point where it's not even that interesting, right? Or even, it could be the opposite where it's like super bland to the point where it's not interesting. It should be something actually a little bit unique. And that uniqueness can literally come from just the slightest change in something. Like it literally could be, maybe your genre is commentary over Call of Duty and you just want to change it to commentary over Super Mario. It could be that like tiny, and maybe to some people that sounds like a big change, but it's really not, because when it comes to commentary, are you really sitting there like, at least for me, when I listen to commentary channels, I use them in the background. So I assume most people, other people do. Maybe they don't, but maybe that changing it to Mario actually is that factor that helps you stand out. You know what I'm saying? So even if it's slightly different, it's a good thing to just be unique in some aspect. Your ideas for specific videos, though, I know I said don't be too broad, but don't be too specific either as well, because people will usually click on videos that cover more than one topic. For example, let's say you're a Minecraft YouTuber and you found a really cool seed and you want to share it with people. If you find multiple seeds and you want to share it with people, there is a higher chance people will be more interested, because why would they watch a 10-minute video on one Minecraft seed when they could watch a 10-minute video on 10 really, really cool Minecraft seeds, right? It's better use of their time. They're more entertained. The video is probably more well edited, better paced. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now for number two, it is click-through rate. So click-through rate is basically the percentage of people who were shown your video that actually clicked on it. So the key thing with click-through rate is you want to keep this above 3%, or else YouTube will basically kill your video, because they're trying to get people to watch videos. So they're going to show people videos that, you actually click on. Now, surprisingly, this doesn't mean your click-through rate it doesn't have to be like 20%. It actually just has to be about around 5% and above. And that should keep your video well alive. If it is low, your packaging, which is basically your title and your thumbnail, are likely the issue, but it also could just be your video idea in general not being that interesting. But usually it's your packaging, which again is your title and thumbnail. Because again, like I said, you can have really any idea, and if it's well put together, it can blow up on YouTube. So for some tips on click-through rate, either in your title or in your thumbnail, ask a question. If you ask a question, it can make people think, or it can make people go, I really want to find out the answer. Let me click on this video, right? So the second one is don't give the same information in the title and thumbnail. And an example is literally this video. This video is titled, I watched 100 hours of YouTube advice. Here's what I learned. But the thumbnail says, blow the frick up today. So it's slightly different. And basically, the thumbnail tells you about, what I did. And then, the title says what I did. And the thumbnail says what you will gain from watching this video, right? So it's a little bit different, and you might be more inclined to click on the video. Now, my thumbnail does have text, but if you are going to have a lot of things on your thumbnail, then you do kind of want to limit the text. Because imagine I made the thumbnail, I watched 100 hours of YouTube advice. Here's what I learned. Like, nobody is trying to read that all in like 1 second of them just like scrolling through their phone or through the computer, through the recommended, right? They just want to quickly read something. And of course, I just wrote blow that frick up. Today is a much faster, much cleaner looking. So yeah, try to limit the text. And you should try to add your face or a familiar face or just something familiar to the viewer so they actually feel a little bit more inclined to click on the video. And you should choose colors that best match the topic as well. It's just a little psychology thing. So make sure, that theme is keeping relatively the same. Now, the final tip I have for click-through rate is you want to try to tell a story or emit an emotion from your title and thumbnail, mostly your thumbnail. So if your thumbnail is like, maybe I can't give the best examples off the top of my head, but if it's trying to put the viewer in the middle of a story, they might feel more inclined to join in on this journey. Or if the thumbnail and or title is making them feel some type of way, they might be like, whoa, let me check this video out. So those are my tips for click-through rate. Now for retention, you want to aim for 60 to 70% of people staying for the first 30 seconds. This is usually what we call the hook. And basically, it's arguably one of the more important factors of retention in general. I'm sure if you've been on YouTube and you've tried to blow up a channel before, this is something you've heard a lot. Is that first 30 seconds, you need to keep as many people there as possible. And you'd be surprised, a lot of videos, like they lose like 80% of people because they don't have a good hook. So you want to aim for 60 to 70% of people staying for that first 30 seconds. And then tip number 2 is aim for about 30 to 40, preferably even higher at like 50% of people staying for the full video. Now that is going to be very difficult, especially if you're in like that entertainment area on YouTube. Usually like education videos, they can get people to stay for like 50%, 50% of people to stay for the whole video because it's like they're learning something. But for entertainment, they could click off at any second. Maybe they just needed 5 minutes of entertainment. So if you're in entertainment, don't feel too bad if you're not hitting 50%, but you are going to want to aim for 30 to 40% of people staying for the full thing in general. Now, another tip, your hook should be very strong, like I said. And the way people do this is by asking questions or giving unique or shocking information. Now, some ways you can do this is literally if your oh my God, if your thumbnail promises something, you need to follow it up as fast as possible. So for me, I jumped right into this video. I said, hey, you're gonna blow up if you watch this video. You clicked on the video, I restated the title, and I was like, okay, here you go. These are the 3 things. Immediately, I'm captivating you guys. I'm not here to bullshit nobody. I'm just here to tell you what's on my mind, what I think you need to do, okay? So next up, edit the video with both visual and sound effects. Now, depending on your video, you will need less editing. Maybe you won't even need any visual and or sound effects, but if your video is in that entertainment or even, in my opinion, education, you sometimes are going to be wanting to add some visual and or sound effects. Let's say you have like something like some text on screen and you highlight the most important part of that text. Boom, that's an example of an easy visual effect. It's simple. It's not too distracting. Sound effects, if something pops on screen, you want to make it appear on screen with like a pop sound effect, It's something as simple as that can actually keep people engaged with your video. Now, my final tip of the entire video here to keep your viewers there till the end is to not have an outro. You should try to get the viewer to watch your next video as fast as possible. So if you're sitting there with like a 30-second outro where you're like, thank you guys so much for watching, blah, 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 and then you have like a 20-second like outro song or whatever, like people are going to leave within like that last minute of the video, and that will actually hurt you a little bit. But instead, if you got to the point, boom, your video's done, and you're just like, okay, that's all I gotta say. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Then people are, boom, they made it to the end of the video, which is great for the algorithm. And then also they're just immediately, boom, new videos popped up in their face. Preferably they're yours. You can obviously add like end cards and stuff like that. Boom, there you go. They're going to the next video. And session time is also another thing tracked on YouTube. So even if they don't go to another one of your videos, if they just stay on YouTube, you will be rewarded because YouTube wants the viewer on the platform for as long as possible. So again, don't have a real outro. Focus on getting 40% of people to stay for your whole video. Have at least aim for a 5% click through rate, and make sure your ideas are even just slightly unique. I'll see y'all later. Peace.